Hi there, here's Christina from Changing Parenting. And if you struggle to get your child to go to the doctor, go to the hairdresser, go to the dentist, then this video is for you. I specialize in ages 3 to 6, so I'll be focusing more on that age group, but this more or less applies also to other age groups. So, first of all, the first thing you need to ask yourself is, and this applies to everything that, parenting, is, do I really need this? Is this something that my child really needs? Like, do they need to go to the doctor? Yes, they need their vaccines, they need to get checked. Do they need to go to the dentist? Yes, it's important for their dental health. Do they need to go to the hairdresser? Not really, right? Nothing bad will happen if you just let their hair grow, right? Unless there is some special reason why they really need to cut their hair. For instance, they go to a school where it's mandatory, and even then there's always the possibility you cut the hair at home, right? So there is no real need to bring your child to a hairdresser. So if you find that the experience is really hard for your child, you need to, choose your battles. Because what happens when you force your child to go to a place, like I saw this video recently, that it was a father, he was holding down his, I think, 2-year-old son in the chair while the barber cut his hair, and the kid was screaming his lungs out. What do you think happens now every time they will say, it's time to cut our hairs, we have to go to the barber? Do you think the kid will be like jumping around being like, yeah, I really want to go there again? Or do you think the kid will immediately start hiding, being scared, maybe even having anxiety over that, right? That's not something we want. We don't want our children to associate going to the doctor, going to the dentist, or going anywhere else, by the way, with something that causes them distress, right? We want them to feel like, it's a positive experience, even if the experience itself is not awesome. So let's say, for instance, even though going to the doctor and get your vaccines might not be like a positive experience itself, if you choose a pediatrician that is child-friendly, that tends to be, appropriate for your child, because every child is different, right? So there will be some children that will respond very well to having, for instance, toys in the waiting room. Others will respond by having a doctor who is very gentle and talks with a low voice. Other children would respond with doctors that are just do things very fast, so they hardly see what's coming, right? Every child is different, and some children might not have a problem at all, right? A lot of children will just go to any doctor and they will be fine. But you know your child better than anyone else, right? You know how they are. And if you are watching this video until now, it's probably because your child struggles with going to certain places, right? So how can you make this experience better for them? Because what you want to do is to have them associated with the good experience. And I give you an example. My son used to be scared of going to the dentist. We went to this dentist that even had toys in the waiting room. But he still was scared because her personality was not compatible with my son's personality. So what did I do? I changed to a different dentist who also has toys in the waiting room, in the treatment room. Sorry. This is very hard talking and doing my hair at the same time. Trying to do this for the first time, don't think I'll do this again. My brain, I'm not good at multitasking apparently. But anyway, as I was saying, you know your child better than anyone. So you know what works for your child. So my son in particular, it helps him to have a lot of distractions. So this dentist where he goes now, just the fact that she has toys in the treatment room makes a whole difference, because when they call us and say, oh, it's their turn, and we go inside, while he's waiting for the doctor, instead of just seeing a stretching, chair and, all those weird instruments and the big lights on top that used to scare him, and immediately started being scared even before the doctor entered the room, he doesn't even look at that, because immediately he enters, he sees toys there, he starts playing with them. And then when she comes in, they turn on the TV, they have a TV on top, they put his favorite cartoons, and he's happy, you know. And for him, going to the dentist is actually a good thing. He always says, I like to go to the dentist, I want to have a toy, because at the end, they always let him choose a little toy. So for him, it's a positive experience. Whereas in the beginning, when we used to go to the other dentist, it used to be a negative experience, right? And again, it's not saying that the first dentist was not a good dentist, or that it was not great for other kids, because every child is different. But you as a parent, you know better what works for your child, right? So first step is always, do I really need this? Does my child really need to do this, right? If it's something that they find hard, you have to choose your battles, right? Is it something that is really necessary? The second thing is, if it is really necessary, then how can I make the experience as enjoyable as possible? How can I make my child really look forward to this experience, even though parts of the experience themselves might not be awesome? Just to give you an example, my son used to be scared of the dentist when he went to the other dentist, and now he even does this, this professional dental cleaning, which, have all these weird devices and stuff like that, right? And even though we are there holding his hand and all that, he doesn't cry, he doesn't scream, he doesn't try to get away from the treatment table, he's okay with that. Because overall, it's a good experience, because we try and make it as fun as possible for him. So that's what you want to do. You want to get your child to see that as a positive experience. What you don't want to do is force your child through force, because you're bigger and stronger than they are, to go through something that is already a distressful, a hard experience for them, and make it even worse by feeling like they are powerless, by feeling that they are forced to be in that situation, right? Because this will only make things worse, because you know this as an adult. Very often the problem is not the situation itself, right? What makes things worse is the fear you have of that, right? The emotions you put into that, right? So let's say you're worried about some medical exam you're going to take. The hardest part is not the exam itself, is not the results you're going to get, is all the emotions, all the anguish, all the anxiety, all the fear that you are putting into that situation, and this is by forcing your child to go through something that is hard for them, and forcing them to go through this without feeling like they have a choice, feeling like they are really being, it just makes things even harder for them. It creates even that big monster thing in their head, and the more you do this, the harder it will be as they grow to overcome it, right? So they will always associate going to the hairdresser as something they hate. Even when they are adults, of course, they will not be, throwing a tantrum to go to the hairdresser, but they will avoid it. They will always think of it as a bad experience, and it doesn't have to be, right? It's your job as a parent to make sure your child is able to deal with hard situations and give them the skills to deal with these situations. And that's not, you don't teach a kid to swim by throwing them in a lake, right? And saying, you figure it out, if you want to survive, learn how to swim by yourself. No, you teach them how to swim. So you don't teach your child to go to the hairdresser by holding them and restraining them and making them scream their lungs out. No, you teach them, it can be a positive experience. What about we do this and that? Look at that. Look at this device that she has. It's to cut hair. Would you like to try this on your doll? And make it into a positive experience and help them learn skills so that they themselves are able to regulate and actually experience that in a good way. I hope this helped. Let me know in the comments if you need any help.